Fantastic. So again, this thought about over reliance on the grid is one thing, but ensuring or thinking through how we can create these hybrid systems, as you have rightly mentioned. Uh, some people say, some petrol stations that we see today will say, oh, they don't want to install charging stations in their petrol stations. That's going to compete with the fuel that they are selling, which honestly, that doesn't even make any sense. Uh, but then, if you have excess of this petrol or even the grid power, you can use that as some of like your backups. You can use your renewable energies and just you can create a system that works for the industry or even for the Nigerian use case, as the case may be. So now let's bring this all to actual adoption conversation, and I'll bring this to you, Obiora. Um, there's been a lot of conversation around local assembly of electric vehicles, be it bikes, cars, and all of that. But from your position today, which is again, you're big on sales and of electric vehicles. Um, from your experience, what actually slows down the adoption of electric vehicles today? Is it the cost? Is it charging infrastructure? Is it standards, the uncertainty of the standards, or access to finance? Again, you can touch on all of them, but which do you think slows down adoption today? And if you're going to fix any one of those problems, which would you fix first?
All right, thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. Let me start by applauding every single stakeholder in the EV space, everyone that is doing something about growing the adoption of electric vehicles. I celebrate you because it's not easy. It requires a lot of investment, a lot of dedication, and commitment. So put your hands together for yourselves. And also put your hands together for EMPAN that is also supporting us in that space. Um, First, I want to comment on what my brother has said. We need to look at electric vehicles from a design perspective. Engineer Dapo mentioned that you really do not need 247 power to drive an electric vehicle heavily. First, the vehicle itself is designed in range, right? And you see vehicles of 330 kilometers in range. Even if it is the CLTC range at 300, probably plus or minus actual range you still sit around maybe 250 kilometers, right? And when you look at that, right, the average kilometers we cover, even in Lagos State per day, is not even up to 50 kilometers per day. So when you have that mindset around electric vehicles, you will know that if you have a fully charged vehicle today, you may not need to charge maybe up until the third or the fourth day, judging by your movements. I am a big advocate of electric vehicle adoption. And what I do is, whenever I have this opportunity, is to educate people to see it differently. So when you look at it from a design perspective, you are more comfortable to know that if I bought an electric vehicle that is 310 kilometers, 430 kilometers, some are even up to 600 kilometers in range, do I need to charge every day? The answer is no, right? That is on one side. On the second part, right, is the culture, our cultural norm, right? And this is speaking to what is hindering adoption. We are a society that is not culturally inclined to buying brand new vehicles. So we need to look at it from the first principle perspective. We don't have the culture of buying brand new vehicles. And so every engagement you have with potential customers is always around the cost of the EV, probably the latest year or model of an EV will probably be a brand new 2023 electric vehicle. right? Many of us are selling brand new 2025 electric vehicles in 2025, and some of us will still sell brand new 2026 electric vehicles in 2026. So if that vehicle is coming at a cost of, say, for example, 30 million, 38 million naira for brand new, someone is thinking of the Mercedes GLE 450 Tokunbo for that same amount, right? And so we need to change that perspective, but it's a gradual process. That mindset, it's a gradual process, right? Why would you want to continue to incur stress every day if it is not just about this vehicle doesn't have engines, but with your internal combustion engine, it's not just about the petrol. There are other components that can break down that vehicle, right? Yeah. And so, why would you want to continue in that life? But you see, our society, we are very egocentric in nature, right? Somebody wants to drive that Benz and appear looking like a chairman. You want to buy a used Toyota Prado to look like a chairman, right? And so, for us that are just starting now, that are the early adopters, it's a bit of a challenge because people want to see themselves, in the eyes of what the public see them as. You don't want to drive my small Lambo one because it's an EV. You want to drive an SUV. And the price point for an SUV is very expensive. Now, looking at that and piecing it all together, some of the feedback I get as a salesperson, right, is people want financing. I mean, I've done a survey and a lot of people say, oh, I want this. Is there financing option? And then you say the answer is yes. But at what cost is the interest rate coming at? Commercial bank interest rate, some of our bankers are doing well over 36%, 35%. The cheapest I found is around 27%, and it's still very expensive, right? And I believe that with the players in the financial sector, the banks, it is all about cost of funds, right? I have personally engaged development banks to see how these conversations can happen because development banks, DFIs, they give banks funds to deploy for certain sectors and industries. And I'm asking, can we have a sector or an industry for EV financing? Because we already have that sort of intervention for renewable energy. It's similar to the sort of intervention we currently have in the real estate space today with the MOs, where you can buy a house today at single digit, I think 9% or so, or thereabout, right? So my passion or my drive is to see how we can have conversations around this specifically for electric vehicle adoption. Even with my bankers, the way I engage with them, I tell them to their face, you guys are not serious. You're banking with me, but you're just after the transaction that is flowing through my account. What are you doing to also push for this adoption? Because what we are doing is serious work. It's serious work. And anybody that's coming to this space that is not in for the long term, you might as well just get out quickly. Because this is serious work. And when you look at the entire value chain, my president has mentioned it. There's a lot of work to be done. There's a lot of work in the training and upskilling of the mechanics. Because I engage customers and they tell me, okay, when this vehicle breaks down, how do I fix it? Would I always have to come to you? And even when my own brand promise, when you call me, I'll always answer. That's my brand promise. Anytime you call me, I will answer. I'm not afraid of challenges, but I will be there, right? But would I be there in Ikorodu? Would I be there in Akowojo? The answer is, the question is, how do we upskill that mechanic at Akowojo, right? To be able to diagnose and, fix an electric vehicle. I have taken an electric vehicle to a regular workshop before. And from my findings, apart from the battery and the electric motor, every other thing in an electric vehicle is the same with what you have in regular vehicles. The shocks, the thyroid, the leakage, every other thing, the AC, every other thing is same. So how do we start educating and upskilling these people? There's also the spare parts angle in the entire value chain as well. Because as of today, if you're doing electric vehicle business, you'll be the one doing the after sales, you'll be the one bringing the spare parts, you'll be the one doing everything. But is that scalable? Now we need to get to a point where even the spare parts dealer in Aspanda can also see the direction of where electric vehicle is going to and invest in bringing parts, just like they go and bring in Toyota parts and all these other parts because they see that these vehicles are on the road. They can also invest in bringing those parts. And before you know it, in the next 5 years, you will see vehicle parts of, the popular electric vehicles you see around. So how do we get everybody involved? This is everybody's conversation. How do we get everybody involved? How do we get everybody enlightened? How do we get everybody educated? Because trust me, it's not just about saving your money for fuel or saving your money for maintenance. It's also about promoting cleaner environment, cleaner society. We are not living healthy in Lagos. That's what everybody says. And they tell us, me in Abuja, tell us, all of you in Lagos are marking, right? If we tie all of this together, you will definitely see that we are better off. Thank you.